So first things first, this session, as I said, is devoted to everything you need to know about product research. So we're going to be showing you how to identify new ideas, analyze those product ideas, improve them, understand kind of the basics around stock prep once you've actually found an idea, and then some cool little nuggets in between as well. This is presented, like I said, by myself and Josh. So on the agenda, we're going to go through some kind of some basic skills and tips around product research. We do product research every day, Josh especially. So we make sure to keep our spear sharp in the product research space. We have some tips for you, as well as some basic theory that will help you better analyze product opportunities using what we like to call the niche rater method. That is a trademarked ZonGuru term right there. We're going to show you how to generate ideas if you're feeling stuck, or if even if you've launched 10 products. I think everybody can use some strategy around generating ideas for new products. We'll be using keywords on fire for that portion. Then we'll be analyzing and validating the data for the product that we found today using the Chrome extension. Then we'll be understanding seasonality and the basics around ordering stock using SalesFi. And then finally, we'll be looking at the love-hate tool and how to create an amazing product by making it either visually, functionally different, bundled, and a few things in between there as well. And then finally, we're really excited about this. You may have already started to see some of the the advertisements on Facebook or Instagram, and we sent an email yesterday. We have a big promo that we've been putting a lot of time and resources into that starts next week on Monday, and that is called the 2020 Perfect Product Vision. And I'll be just filling you guys in on some details there as well at the very end. Sweet. Anything you want to add?
No, all good. All good.
Cool. So first things first, starting at the very beginning, what are we looking for? I think some people, especially if they, just started to get into Amazon FBA and private label selling, they have, these big high hopes and dreams of, finding a product that's going to make them, a single product that's going to make them millions of dollars. If maybe it's a fidget spinner or a computer or a cell phone accessory or something like that. That is not what we're looking for. I think that as Amazon gets more and more competitive, it's very important to understand and focus in on products that are going to set you up for long-term and sustainable success. So we're looking for a product or a product line that we can build from, that we can build a brand around, and we can protect. So this is the name of the game right now. It's not about making a quick buck or a quick fortune. The product research and everything involved takes some know-how and an understanding that what we're looking for is a product that's generating $10,000 or more in monthly revenue at a 30% margin off of a single product at that bare minimum. That equals about $3,000 a month in profit, which will equal around $36K per year. And that's again off of our minimum projections. And I think for a lot of people, that's even at the bare minimum pretty exciting, because it means that you can continue to build and invest that $3,000 back into your business and scale and grow, which is hopefully what you're doing. Or even at the bare minimum, you can put some money aside for travel, for your fun hobbies, for your family, whatever your why is. But then again, we're looking for those differentiated products that are unique and that you can protect with a little bit of know-how. So hopefully that sounds good to everybody. Oops.
Yeah, I just want to add something there. So I don't know how many of you tuned into the accelerator that Reliable held, and a lot of the main sellers there, they all mentioned one of the biggest issues is growing too quickly. So if you're trying to get a product that is selling 100K a month straight off the bat, and you don't have a lot of funds to actually support that, that might be actually a bad thing to do. So a good idea is to search for one of those products that's only selling around the 10K a month, so you can actually keep up with the demand. And then once you get that product rolling, start making a lot of profit, you might have enough money in the bank to go and actually start looking at those products that might earn you a bit more revenue each month later down the track. But for the start, while you're learning start small, start with something that you can afford to stay in stock, and yeah, try and keep it simple to begin with.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think for a lot of people too that are just starting out, making sure that you have, the appropriate amount of capital to invest in your first or even second product is really key. And if you're getting into one of those highly competitive, really, really high demand categories, you're going to be looking at a very, very large initial investment. So that's why we kind of are looking to scale things back for consistency. Cool. So just a couple of tips. I'll run through these as quickly as possible. We're going to want to understand the theory. I'm going to go through that on the next slide. That is the niche rater method, and it's how you better understand the demand, competition, the profit potential, and the investment, and essentially the launch budget, what you're going to be investing in your product in the very beginning. Also, very, very key and important, especially for people that are just starting. It's really important to set goals. John, the CEO of ZonGuru, talks about this a lot, and I like this concept of reaching your big milestones, whatever that might be, whether that's maybe a 7-figure seller or a 6-figure a month seller, or even launch my first product. Those are great milestones, but you need to set the minor stones that are basically things that you can with 100% effectiveness hit. So that if you keep knocking down those minor stones, it'll help you reach the milestones and those bigger goals. So that's things like, set realistic goals for yourself as far as like how much time you can devote to product research, how many suppliers you're going to reach out to, how many samples you're going to order, like setting those smaller goals that you can hit, because each time you hit those, it's going to get you closer to that end milestone. And then also, this is a no-brainer, but we have so many distractions around us. I have a cell phone in front of me, a monitor next to me. It's really, really important to, in this day and age where there's so many distractions, is just to focus in, be consistent, and reduce the obstacles to searching. If you're doing 20 minutes of product research a day, don't have any other tabs open. Close your door, lock it if you need to, and just be consistent, with your research. Go down the interesting rabbit holes. You'll learn this. It's kind of a soft skill, but I talk about this each week. Amazon wants customers to buy products on their platform, even if it's not ones that you are initially searching for. So they're going to show you things that other customers have bought that search for that product or bought with that product. They're going to show you other things that you might be interested in based on your search history. Follow your nose. Amazon's going to be showing you a ton of things. Don't just put the blinders up. Don't be afraid to click around. If you're using the Chrome extension, you have unlimited searches. So just keep the searches going, and you will land on something good eventually. So just go down those interesting rabbit holes. And then Josh is going to take us through how you can use keywords on fire to generate ideas. So if you're feeling super stuck, you can use this method, or just generally speaking, it's a really good method. It's kind of what we're slowly transitioning towards, that to kind of focus in on, rather than just focus on going down those interesting rabbit holes. And then finally, don't overthink it. Have fun. You guys are tuning in. Probably for many of you, it's early morning, on a weekday. So you're maybe doing this before work, or before your daily responsibilities. So you clearly are taking this seriously. You're already putting yourself one step ahead of your competition. But don't forget to have fun. And then just, follow the methodology that we're going to be talking about. And then finally, use the internet to spark an idea. Josh, I'm sure, can attest to this. It's very easy when you do product research all the time to feel like you're kind of spinning your wheels at certain points. There's no shame in typing into Google, fun holiday products to buy 2019. And you're going to see a bunch of different blog posts for things that customers can buy. Put your seller thinking cap on and figure out ways in which you can utilize that information to potentially sell similar products as well. So use the internet because it's obviously the most powerful tool in existence. Anything you want to add to that, Josh?
No, just concentrate on focusing just on product research while while you've got that time in front of you, don't waste it being on your phone and checking emails. Just put the effort into actually finding a product and use the tools that are out there. There's free tools like Trello or just a notebook to actually, every time you come up with a milestone, instead of trying to keep it in your head, actually just write it down, don't get overwhelmed, and just tick them off one at a time.
Awesome. Yeah, that's perfect. Also, just want to note, Thomas in the chat, make sure that you keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So the niche rater method, this is really important to understand because this is going to help you better analyze products using the Chrome extension. This is really key towards really understanding the data and knowing when you have a winner or a loser that you should avoid. And it's composed of these 4 metrics: demand, competition, investment, and potential. If you can check all 4 of these off, then you're probably on a very good track, and it's probably worth thinking about that product niche deeper. So the first is demand. You obviously need to have customers interested in your product. If demand's not there, then even if it's something that you really, really love, people probably aren't going to buy it yet. So so steer clear from products that have less than at least 4,000 to 6,000 monthly searches, or the average seller making less than 10,000. And basically what we're looking for is kind of a sweet spot between medium demand and kind of medium to low competition. So we want to see the average seller doing anywhere from 10 to 20K in monthly gross profits, and making anywhere from 4 to 6,000 monthly searches. And those are kind of flexible numbers, but those are kind of the numbers that you want to be steering towards. Competition is the next one, and this kind of plays on demand a little bit. If you see really, really high demand product categories on Amazon, it's pretty much certain that the competition is also going to be high as well. There's so many sellers out there now that we want to make sure that we're finding kind of the medium demand, medium competition categories. So competitiveness can be measured by a lot of different things. We'll jump into the Chrome extension shortly and show you how you can measure it. But specifically, you're looking at reviews, and then also how well optimized are the products or are the sellers. So we want to see, a majority of the sellers on page 1 with 100 reviews or less. We don't want to see too many of the top sellers with over 500 reviews. And, there are no hard metrics around this because each category is different on Amazon. Each product is different. And how you judge competitiveness and demand can be flexible. But, the benchmarks that you're looking for are not too many very, very highly optimized seasoned sellers with over 500 reviews and a majority of the sellers with under 100 reviews. The last 2 are investment. And this is, essentially what is it going to cost to stay in stock for at least 3 months on page 1? We'll tell you that number based on the sales velocity inside of the Chrome extension. But staying in stock is absolutely key. And Josh touched on this as well with, not scaling too fast. But, you want to be able to stay in stock for at least 3 months on page 1. But you also don't want to break the bank doing that. So we typically see an investment sweet spot of around 12,000 to be, pretty good amount of money to expect to invest in your first 3 months of stock. 3 months is also important because it just means that you have time to be agile with reorders from China, because it does take time, depending on what marketplace you sell, to deliver stock from your supplier to a fulfillment center. And then finally is potential. And potential means revenue potential. Basically, with every sale you make, the average seller does about a 30% margin. How many dollars are you putting in your pocket? If you sell a product for $10, that, and the average retail for the product in the same category is $10, then that only means that every sale that you're making is making you $3. We like to try to steer people towards categories where the average retail price is anywhere between 25 and 35, because then you're putting $8, $9, maybe $10 in your pocket for every sale. And then also, what percentage of page 1 can you realistically capture? And we'll show you what this means in a second using Keywords on Fire. But we can actually show you the top 3 sellers and roughly how often they're converting or how often they're getting the clicks. So that's the niche rater method. It's actually a pretty simple concept when you apply it to the Chrome extension. So once we jump over there, it'll probably be a little bit clearer, but these are the 4 things that you want to absolutely pay attention to. And then the final one, this one's really fun. This is just differentiation, and it's a soft skill. And differentiation answers the question, why would somebody choose my product over the competition? So it can take a lot of different forms. And, we couldn't possibly touch on all of them in this training, but high level, it's, does my product look different? Does it serve a different purpose or more purposes than the competitors? Is it smaller? Is it more durable? Can I bundle it with other items? Does it connect with my customers? There's all sorts of different ways to differentiate. And I'll say 2 things, 2 resources that you should use if you want to learn more about differentiation. And that's, the first one is our Instagram page. Just follow us at ZonGuru. We try to really devote that channel to just ideas and inspiration around products rather than, talking about ZonGuru and selling our software. It's very much supposed to be a hub for you to generate ideas around products. And then the second is, and we'll get to this in a second, but we have that 2020 Perfect Product Vision promo next week. And on Tuesday, John and I and a very special guest actually talk about differentiation at length for almost an hour. So it's really important to nail this because this right here, this soft skill, is what sets you up for long-term success on Amazon. Oops. Cool. So this actually gets me to the 2020 Perfect Product Vision. Josh, if you don't mind, real quick, just drop in the link in the chat. If you haven't registered for this already, I strongly recommend it. This is 100% free. It's a 4-day video series deep dive with myself and John, special guests, 6- and 7-figure sellers. We're going to be looking at each day a different section of creating an Amazon business. So that's product research, differentiation. The third day is all about optimizing your listing to drive the most relevant traffic and convert sales. And then the final day is all about business management and how to keep your foot fully down on the gas once you're live on Amazon. So we're we've been putting a lot of work into this, and we're still putting the finishing touches on it. But I can tell you, this is probably some of the best work that we've done. And I'm really excited for people to join and follow along. There's going to be giveaways, prizes, daily challenges, and Q&As that we'll answer. It's going to be a really fun event. So I strongly recommend you guys tuning into that. Sweet. Let's see here. I want to pause for a second because we are going to we're going to look at the actual product for today. And just so you guys know, we each week for these sessions we look at a different product. So that part of the presentation is usually right around the same. But the fun of these and what I hope will encourage you guys to keep coming back each week to learn more is what we're about to get into, which is a live example. Typically Josh finds these and he does a very good job with it, even though he gets a little frantic towards the end.
I'll struggle.
So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Hopefully this is all sounding good to you guys. We're actually doing really good on time right now. So anything you want to add from the presentation perspective?
No, all good.
Cool.
All good.
Awesome. Let's pause for a second, guys. I just want to make sure, is all of this sounding good? Can you just let us know in the chat? Just say big old yes, or if you're confused or things aren't sounding good or we look terrible or whatever, just let us know in the chat, please. And Michelle, don't worry, we can't see you. You can only see us. Awesome. Thank you, Nicola.
Oh, no.
Jock, Sean, thank you guys. Gavin, Paul, Ian, Nicola, Claudia, Lee, Terry, Daryl, Kelly, Pi, sounds great. Awesome. Manuela, very cool. Bryce, awesome. Perfect, guys. All right, Josh, take it away.
Awesome. All right, guys. So this is Keywords on Fire. So Keywords on Fire is essentially, it's a keyword tool that we use to get a big, broad list of keywords specific to a search term that we think of. And usually it is for optimizing your listing. So you use these keywords and they come with all the different search values, keywords generated dollars, and you can put them in towards optimizing your listing. But for today, we've actually found a really good way of finding products with keywords on fire. So I'll just show you exactly how we do that. So today I was struggling to find products. Usually I'm finding products every day. So I was having a brain fade today. I was really struggling. So I was just looking around the office and I was just like, what is there around here that we could possibly sell? And I noticed a lot of like coffee dispensers, ice cube dispensers. There was a drink dispenser there at one stage and I was like, all right, let's just try this. Pretty random. You can go more random than this, but dispenser is a broad topic. And I thought, all right, we'll run a keywords on fire session on that. So to do this, what you do is start off with add product by phrase. And then you just type in your phrase here, which I wrote dispenser, click search. And then your next step is you always have to name your session. I always name it the same as the phrase that I used when I click search, because that way it just keeps everything in order. You quickly run a keyword analysis, and then this will take a few minutes. And what this does is Keywords on Fire takes the top 25 listings for that keyword dispenser, and it brings in all the keywords that generate revenue for that product, for that keyword. And you can see here that it's generated 571 unique keywords, over 1 million search volume, and generating over 15 million in monthly revenue. So once this is populated, you'll see this little symbol here. You click on the eye and it'll open up where all the data is. So this might just take a little bit. I'll just focus on today the main columns that will be of interest to us for product research. There's a lot of data here. I don't want to overwhelm you. We have tutorials that will explain everything to do with this product. But what we really want to look at here is demand and competitiveness. So how do we judge demand? As Darren touched on before, it's search volume and keywords generated. So we want to see that we are generating at least 4,000 searches, and we want to see that we're a mid-range of competitiveness product. So we want to see around somewhere under 300 reviews. So what we're doing here, we're going to add filters because this list is 570 keywords long. We want to see a smaller scale because there's just too much to go through at the moment. So we're going to search volume less than or equal to, and we'll go 4,000 just because this is the niche rater method. And then we'll also go reviews. Wait, what have I done? I've done the wrong way here. Okay, search volume greater than or equal to 4,000. And then reviews less than or equal to 300. And what we've done here is taken a list of over 400 keywords and brought it down to 13 unique keywords. So this is where we scroll down to the keyword section and we want to check, is there anything here that is popping out to us? We're looking across, we're seeing how many reviews does this product have? Is it too many? Is it generating enough search volume? Is it generating enough keywords? Have we heard of this product before? Is that interesting to us? And this is how we came across the product beverage dispenser. So if we were to click on beverage dispenser, that will actually take us to Amazon where we can do some further research into it with a Chrome extension. Went a little bit quick there. We got through it all. There's a lot of data here, but yeah, the couple of main points to take away is focus on the filters for the niche rater method, which is search volume and competitiveness. So under 300 reviews is a good starting point. You can mix up the numbers there. Search volume is starting off at 4,000. You can mix it up if you're not getting enough results there. But we're just focusing in and getting the most relevant keywords for our product research. So
yeah, absolutely awesome. I mean, I thought you were crazy when you typed in dispenser. I didn't think it was going to show us anything like worthwhile. And here we have 13 potential ideas. And I see some other ones in here that would probably be worth checking out as well.
There's a few here, there's a couple I went to notice is like even just checking out the prices of the products. So it's like, if I'm seeing products that are $14, I'm probably going to steer clear of them because they're too cheap. I'm seeing products that are $140, a big water dispenser like that, it's probably going to be too much of an investment for me to get started there. So I'm looking at these products that are in the $30 to $40 range. But
yeah, and Sean actually brought up a good point too. You could also add a filter for, as you were saying, price above $25.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Very cool. So for the rest of the session, I guess we're going to be looking at beverage dispensers and seeing what that means.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, super cool. It's just, I don't know. It's such a good method when you're kind of feeling lost and you're looking for ideas, like Josh said, because it's just going to show you exactly what you need to use. And
yeah.
Josh used one methodology, which is just look around your room and finding things that might lead to something. Like I have lamps here. I have it looks like one of my roommates is he's in the restaurant business and he has some equipment from the restaurant. These would all be things that we could start to use to generate ideas. But you could probably an even better place to start would be thinking about things that like are interesting to you that you connect with. Hobbies, passions, and starting with those very broad phrases and seeing what gets sold in those like bigger niches to find those niches within the niche. So really, really cool. And I'd like to assign a little bit of homework for you guys. If you haven't used this method yet, as soon as this training session is done, just whatever you're most passionate about, type that into Keywords on Fire and run a session and see what comes up, because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just like for last week's, I don't know if you looked in last week, one of the words I just typed in was corner. So I just looked in the corner of the room, came up with a product that way. So it's like, you don't have to overthink about it. Just think of a broad category, something that you're looking at, whether it's a beam, whether it's a table, an office. Just type that into Keywords on Fire, preferably if it's something of interest to you. That will help a lot later down the track for marketing, knowing your customers' pain points and things like that. But don't get stuck. Do the homework. Just try and find a product straight away tonight after this session.
Awesome. Cool. So now we're going to be looking at beverage dispensers. We're going to go ahead and analyze the data and see if this is actually a good category or not. But first, let's just kind of scan through and get a feel for what this category is. These are more and more common, especially in restaurants. I've noticed they're basically like infusers, like fruit and beverage infusers. So a lot of places will start to cut up fruit and put them into these, usually there's 2 compartments and then they fill it with water and then, it makes the water taste like the fruit. So one thing that I noticed as we scan through this, and we'll get to this in the next section, is there's not a whole lot in regards to differentiation. I see a lot of just like plastic and glass, very straightforward. They look like big mason jars. Nothing special here. This is probably the only one that's like really stands out. And it's just because it looks like a little bit more elegant than the rest. The product photography is really nice. And they have a much higher price point too.
I think what's happened here is people have seen what's selling well and they've just tried to copy the same style over and over and over again, which is a really, really good opportunity for you to come up with a new style, something that's going to stand out straight away on page 1. And if you have amazing photos and you're showing the differentiation, you don't necessarily need all those reviews to get going. So people will still be more interested on clicking on your listing if you're standing out enough.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So I'm opening up the Chrome extension. Hopefully everybody here has downloaded the Chrome extension. You absolutely need to do that because this is going to basically just scan every single listing on this page. And it's going to pull all the important information, all the data that we need to understand if this is a winner or a loser. So the first thing, I'm just going to run through the numbers here and kind of what you want to be paying attention to at a glance when you're using the Chrome extension. The first thing you're going to notice is the niche score. This is basically taking into account the niche rater method figures that we want to pay attention to. So buyer demand sitting at 72%. This is a good number. This is a really good number. It means that the demand is definitely there, and we can see that with the monthly revenue and the number of monthly sales people are purchasing this product. And so 72% is good. Competition opportunity at 48%. As you guys, I'm sure, know at this point, Amazon is more and more competitive. So, competition opportunity is usually what brings the whole niche score down a little bit. But 48% is nothing to be scared by. And it just takes into account how many reviews the competition has, the average review score, and then also the listing score. So this is basically how well optimized the listings are. So it's essentially how seasoned are the sellers, and then how strong are they. And we take into account a lot of different factors for the listing score. We have a help article for it if you want some guidelines. But basically, it's, do they have EBC? Do they advertise? Are they taking advantage of all of their photos? Do they have video? How many reviews do they have compared to the review score? And there's some other factors as well, but the listing score is a really good gauge of the strength of the competition. So that's competition opportunity. Investment sweet spot is how much money is it going to, it takes into account the launch budget, which is, again, we've already covered this. What is it going to cost to stay in stock for 3 months based on the sales velocity of the average seller on page 1 and the cost of goods sold for the product. So it's also looking at the average retail price, and it takes 30% of that, which is the typical cost of goods sold. So typically the breakdown is 30% goes to Amazon for fulfillment and storage fees, 30% goes to your cost of goods, so the actual stock, the price of the stock, and then 30 to 40% either gets invested back into your business or as profit for yourself. So this is almost exactly where we want it for the investment sweet spot. That's why it's at 97%. And then the revenue potential, again, taking into account the price and the sales velocity. And this is a really good price point, and which is why we're sitting at 63%. Now, a 70% niche score is exceptional. So I'll just break down that score really quickly. Anything over 70%, you probably are onto something good. Now, this is a guideline, and it's not something that we recommend that you only look at and invest dollars into. This is supposed to give you an at a glance perspective of whether or not you should look more deeply at the numbers. But 70% typically is very good. Between 65 and 70%, you also have a good to great product. 60 to 65, you're looking at probably good, and then 50 to 60, is typically about average to maybe slightly above average. But the idea here is anything over 55%, you should probably be looking into the numbers deeper. Now, just a couple other things I want to call out relating to the Chrome extension. We have the actual monthly search volume. This is the real search volume provided by Amazon. So almost 20,000 people per month search for beverage dispenser. And obviously that's not the only keyword that people are searching for when they're looking for similar products to this. So this is probably the most relevant keyword, driving 20,000 monthly searches, which is pretty darn good. Obviously monthly sales, average price, average reviews, average rating, average monthly revenue. Typically what I like to do is as soon as I've looked at all of the averages and the niche score, I'll just filter a couple of or I'll sort a couple of the columns. The first is revenue. I want to see, what are the top sellers? What do they look like? Are there any that maybe don't necessarily apply? Like this is just the spigot for the dispenser. So I might take this out, and it's going to adjust the number a little bit, dropped 1%. That's okay. But this will give you a more accurate representation if you make sure that you're only seeing, relevant products. On the flip side to that, though, you have to understand that you're also, you're competing against the spigots on page 1 as well. So it also at times could make sense to leave those results in here as well. And then the next column that I like to sort is reviews, because again, this is going to show us competitiveness. Now, we see probably about 7 or 8 sellers with over 500 reviews. Some of them, are very seasoned in the space and have over 1,000 reviews even. But I do want to point out that as we scroll down, we see quite a few sellers. In fact, the majority of page 1 have under 150 and even 100 reviews. So there's definitely room to compete in this category, looking at this at a glance. And I do want to also just point out, this seller has 27 reviews and is doing over 10K. This seller has 36 reviews, is doing almost 30K, 11. We see just under 10 here. As we scroll up, the sellers with slightly over 100 reviews, their revenue begins to scale. But even the sellers that are the least seasoned on page one are still doing solid numbers. So that's just to say that this is a really, really interesting category, and I think worth looking into a little bit deeper. Two other things I want to point out. This hamburger icon gets missed often. You can click on that and you can actually extract this next page of sales results without actually navigating away from page one. You have the ability to filter and then download CSV files. So those are good to know. You also have the ability to add products to sales by. So I can just click on this and this will add this product directly into my sales by without having to grab the ASIN, go over to sales by and add it myself. And then finally, these numbers are good to pay attention to right here, and they're easy to miss. But this is ad. This is a sponsored listing, product or brand, which is why this is grayed out. We typically don't include advertisements in the averages up here because typically they will also appear organically on page one as well, and we don't want to show the same listing twice. And then also we show you which sellers have EBC, which is now A+ brand content. And then finally the top 3 sellers. So that's based on clicks. So this is the number one most clicked on listing. Really, really good information to have because you can click in there and begin to look at that, this product listing deeper. We can see okay, oh my gosh, I'm glad that I clicked on this because you can see this is a terrible seller. Like at a glance, not optimized title. They're taking advantage of less than half of the total number of photos that you can add to your listing. They're not utilizing all of their bullets. I would imagine that this is not well optimized. So while they're driving a lot of clicks, I would imagine that they're probably not driving the most amount of conversions.
I think with this product here, it's a big, well-known brand, and they're sort of just getting away with the fact that people know their brand, and that's why they're making a lot of sales. Like he was probably there from day one, and now he doesn't even worry about optimizing because Amazon recognizes him as a seller that sells a lot of products, so they just put him up. But this is a really good opportunity for you to come in and you'd beat a seller like this on the long tail keywords because he was not optimized at all.
Yeah.
And you would be able to rank for those keywords that he's not ranking for. So the bigger sellers, they might be selling a lot, but they're lazy. So you've got an opportunity there.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point about the long tail keywords.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll hand it over to you. I think
just one thing on there. One thing I always check whenever I'm on the Chrome extension is that search volume. So whenever you ever open up a Chrome extension search, you want to make sure that search volume is saying that it's over 50. So you want a real number there. If you see a keyword that has 50 and then the arrow is saying less than 50, that means that the product is getting less than 50 searches a month on Amazon, or it's getting such a low number that our algorithm can't actually pick up what the exact search number is. And it's probably not what customers are searching for that product for. So if you're seeing that, you would scroll down through the listings and then find what are the common keywords in the title and use that in your keywords on Fire Search, or run another Chrome extension search on that to see what the actual keyword is that people are searching for. Because otherwise you might be looking at a page and think you've got 70% niche score. I'm onto a really good one here. Base your judgment off that, and then you might not actually be searching for the right keyword, and that keyword might be really, really competitive if you use the right one. So just something to keep in mind to check out every time.
Yeah, that's a good point. Just a quick note, Josh, I think when you're responding in the chat, you might just be responding to all panelists, which means that I'm seeing it, but the attendees aren't.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm just going to answer one of the questions, which is, are we going to be sending a recording? Yes. If you registered for this, you will receive a recording. And then make sure, guys, I see some questions being answered or asked in the chat. Move it over to the Q&A if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, perfect. Nice work. So that's the link for the promo, guys. Josh just added it to the chat.
All right. So Next, after your Chrome extension, it's time to jump into Sales Spy. So Chrome extension takes a look at the data and the average sales based on the BSR of a product on that single day, on the exact time that you search. So depending on how that product is performing on that day, will determine the revenue that you're seeing generated in the Chrome extension. So to get a really accurate estimation of how this product sells throughout the whole year, you need to add lots and lots of products in your niche to Sales Spy, just from that little plus icon in the Chrome extension. And then what you want to do is have a big variety of products. You'll see products with 400 reviews, 1,000 reviews, and then lots of products with under 100, which are the ones that you're going to be competing against. And what you want to do is add these products in, and then you want to open up the graph. So this is a sales history graph, and it's based off the last 1 year. So you can change this to 30 days, 6 months, a custom range. I like to go 1 year because that way you can see a seasonality of a product. This one's a little bit interesting. It hasn't sold well throughout the year, but then when it gets to Christmas, it's boomed and it's selling really, really well. Another thing we can see on here is this product has been sold since 2011. So it's been around for a long, long time. But if we go through and open up a few of the others, we should see, well, this one's actually got the opposite. So there's a few different, it's kind of hard. This is why you add a lot of different products into Sales Spies, because you want to see what the average is across all the products. So you don't want to just add one, see a graph and go, oh, this product sells really well in Christmas, I'm going to get all the revenue, all the inventory for Christmas. But that's actually just a skewed result because only one of those products was performing like that. So what you're really looking for is you don't want to see products that are coming in and then spiking up at Christmas time. The yellow graph equals revenue generated. The blue line refers to the BSR, which is the bestseller ranking. And generally, the higher your BSR, the lower your sales. So the closer that you get your BSR to the top of that category, the more sales you're going to be making. And don't get confused, it's not the same as being on the top of page one. The lower your BSR means the closer you are to the top of that category. For example, kitchen and dining, not necessarily that keyword. So you can still be BSR 18,000 and be at the top of page one, but you might not necessarily be at the top of that category. Is there anything else you want to touch on there, Darren?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, all good there.
Cool.
Sweet. So we got one more tool we're going to be looking at. So far, we have shown you how to generate ideas, how to validate those ideas, how to kind of understand the seasonality of products using SalesFi. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at love-hate, which is a really good tool for generating ideas around product differentiation and understanding what customers really like and don't like about certain products. So just like with Keywords on Fire, to run a session, you add the products by phrase, you type in the phrase. In this case, we ran one for beverage dispenser, pulled in the top 25 listings for beverage dispenser. We double checked that everything was relevant. And then we ran the session. This happens from time to time. Sometimes you'll add the session name and then you'll click create session and you'll know, and then the session will just sit here. You can't really, well, here, let me just show you real quick, actually, guys. I'll just show you. We'll do one for golf gear. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't really matter. We'll select all, add products. We'll name our session golf gear. And now we've created the session, but we haven't run it. So you absolutely need to click this to analyze the session. So we just wanted to create an extra step in case, that wasn't actually the session that you wanted to run. But this happens to me all the time where I think that I've run the session, then I come back and I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot to do that. Yeah. So let me delete that. So what the love-hate tool does is it's going to actually pull all of the reviews for those top 25 products and organize the 4 and 5 star reviews where people really like the product and all the 1 and 2 star reviews where people did not like the product. And it's going to create word clouds around those reviews. So in the past, you had to maybe either do the work manually yourself, going through each individual listing and scrolling through the reviews. Maybe you'd hire a VA to do that. It was time intensive and oftentimes it cost you a little bit of money. this tool just makes that process, instant, essentially. We can see all the products that we're analyzing here. So we can see, these are all of the beverage dispensers that we ran the session on. And we can see the word clouds. So these are all of the recurring, commonalities in phrases and terms for the love section, 4 and 5, and all the 1 and 2 star reviews for the hate section. And as we click on these, it's going to show us the reviews that include the term that we clicked on. So I clicked on stainless steel, and we can see 45 reviews that include the word stainless steel for people that, rated the product favorably. I think what I'd like to do is we'll go back over and just kind of brainstorm some ideas in a second. But what I typically find this to be most useful is looking at what people really hated, because we're basically taking the information that established sellers that are already getting reviews are learning as they're going before we even invest in that product. So I can, if I click on this one, huge crack, I know that products that are shaped like this, or maybe, to me, this is just random thought, but these two different dispensers are really close together. Maybe when I fill one up and then I set it down onto the rack, and then I fill the other one and I set it down, it's heavy, and I set it on the rack, they knock into each other and crack. That's interesting. It looks like a lot of the ones that come in 2-packs seem to crack. That's good to know. I might click on let's see.
Spout leaks. Spout leaks seems to come up quite a lot. Yeah.
So this is just a way to get ahead of fatal flaws and understand the design of products that are not working, and probably either try to steer clear from them or to go to your supplier and ensure that when you get your golden sample, the one that you're going to launch and invest your brand into, that you don't have leaking spigots, you don't have cheap plastic or glass that cracks. These types of things are really important. It looks like the spigot and the spout are really important. Missing pieces, that's obviously a no-no.
But then all this sort of stuff can really slip your mind as you're going through all the process of trying to create a product. So there's so much going on, but this is a really good thing to come into here, click on all these different icons, go through what are people loving, write them all down. What are they hating? Write them all down. And then when you go to your supplier, say, these are the top 20 things that my product must meet these standards to actually pass the criteria and for me to import them into Amazon. Because without meeting these requirements, chances are your product's going to get a bad review. And if you get a bad review on Amazon, it can be game over, especially if it's the start and you're low in the game. If your product gets to Amazon and the first review you get is a 5-star, you're in a fair bit of trouble, because people are that's all they're going to see is a 0-star seller, and they're going to be like, all right, on to the next one, because they've got plenty of options. So this is your opportunity to go into your supplier and make sure that all these problems are handled straight from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is just one example, but I just clicked on perfect size, and it looks like this product shows up multiple times for that phrase. This would be one where I'm sure it's in their product description. We could click on it and it would show us the actual fluid ounces. I would want to make sure that I match the fluid ounces for this product, because people seem to really enjoy, how much liquid it holds in relation to its size. So why don't we just really quick, Josh, I don't know, you and I can maybe riff off of this for a minute before we get into the Q&A. We have about 7 or 8 minutes, so we'll be able to get to the questions. No problem. But one thing that you pointed out that I think is really good, maybe I'll just let you talk about it relating to the form.
Sure. So there's lots of products in this niche that they're all sort of copying that same old school look. They're not really getting creative with turning it into a shape. I've seen it in other niches where glass sort of beverage dispensers, it's not a beverage dispenser, but it's a different type of product. They create different shapes. So I've seen globes. So there's a glass globe where a liquid goes inside of it. Wine decanters that are all these crazy shapes that they just really pop off the page, and their sales are amazing. And I'm really, really surprised that in beverage dispenser that they're not taking advantage of that. So what could you think of, like in whiskey decanters, these globes, like how creative is that? From day one, that product would have been selling amazingly. And you can see people are already trying to copy them. They've got the guns for all the Americans. They would love that for sure. And just like all these really creative styles, like the guys in the whiskey department have really taken it upon themselves to differentiate. Whereas the beverage dispensers, they're all sticking to that same type. They're just filling it with different fruit. So you have a really good opportunity here just to jump in and think of it. You could copy the globe form. Like if you did a globe here, it would probably work out really, really well for you. So it's just try and be a little bit more creative than following the pack. Especially with low reviews, how are you going to stand out on page one? Make sure you get amazing photos that show the features of your product, because lots of people spend so much time and money on all this inventory, and then you get to the part where you want to pay for photos and people try and skimp out. So like one of the main things on Amazon is making sure that a person sees your product and wants to buy it. So amazing photography is almost number one up there for investments well spent. So yeah, that's my recommendation anyway.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that this is a good point to turn it over to the Q&A. I just want to point out one thing that you may have noticed I just did here, is I just typed in stylish beverage dispenser and I clicked on this button here, and this took me over to the Pinterest search for that phrase. And I already see these are products that probably aren't even being sold on Amazon yet. And we can get some ideas on how we can more stylize, a beverage dispenser. It looks like this one has this cool, almost like a copper finish spigot and like a wood top. And it just looks like a clean design. This one would also probably stick out on page one compared to the other.
I had a really good idea to use something like an apple. It's a fruit dispenser. So let's keep that fruity theme. So that's really, really good idea, Manuela.
Yeah. Awesome. So cool. Hopefully, wow. We've still got 37 participants. Everybody stick around. So that's awesome. I want to just let everybody know we're going to turn it over to the Q&A right now. And we're going to try to answer as many questions as we can. Let's go from most recent questions backwards in case we already answered some of these. Sure. Awesome. And Nicola, Lee, thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Cool. So Zoran asks, so if a niche score is showing 70 plus, but competition is below 50 and there is scope to be different, then it would be safe to say it's a product you could run with? What would you say to that, Josh?
So you got 70 plus, but competition is below.
So I'll go ahead and take a stab at this. I think it goes back to kind of what we were saying, when we were looking at the niche score and understanding that it's meant to guide you. Yeah. It's a metric that's going to it's going to provide you insight, but it's definitely not going to tell you yes or no in regards to whether or not that should be your product. You need to make data-driven decisions, and that's decisions plural, when you're investing in products and thinking seriously about launching a product, because, it's not just looking at the niche score. It's not just looking at the search volume. It's not just looking at the competition. It's looking at all of those things together and then going to your mastermind, talking to coaches, even you can reach out to us and use us as resources. And then making the decision at the end of the day yourself, after you've done your due diligence and your research. But product research, and really taking that leap into investing in a product, it's not as simple as just like one of the factors of the niche score.
Yeah, a good one for that is, if it does look competitive, go into your Chrome extension, filter by reviews, scroll down. If there's people under 100 reviews selling over $5,000, consistently, there's a lot of them. That's probably a good sign that you could still get into that market. But if you're seeing lots and lots of reviews, it's probably over 1,000 and not many people under 100 reviews selling very well. It's probably going to be a good one to stay away from.
Yeah, great question though. And Dino, thank you for answering Zoran's other question about what BSR is. Appreciate the help there. Awesome. Let's see here. Adam Townley, yes, the session will be recorded and we will send it out to you probably tomorrow if I had.
Yeah. It's nice and late here in London. It's almost midnight, so it'll be tomorrow for sure.
Awesome.
So Zara, do you need a pro seller account to see those results, or can we just use the Chrome extension? So no, you don't need an Amazon seller account, and for ZonGuru, all you need is a starter plan, and you can get access to all the product research tools. You just need to log into your ZonGuru account, and all the tools there that you have access to are highlighted on the left. And yeah, you obviously have access to the Chrome extension as well.
Yeah, cool. All right, Steven asks, with demand, are there a certain minimum number of sellers you want to see with sales volume of 10,000? I think it's similar to how you look at competition and looking at reviews. There's not a one size fits all for every product category. It's heavily dependent on the price of the product as well. But you want to see. You probably want to see at least half of the sellers doing 10,000 or more. And really where you want to steer clear from categories is when, the top 3, 4, 5 sellers are generating 80 or 90% of the sales. There's, especially in brand driven categories, think about like running shoes. You're probably not going to buy private label running shoes over Nikes or Reeboks or Adidas. They're going to be driving the most conversions. So you want to see the revenue spread out if possible. But again, there's no real one size fits all there.
Cool. Paul asks, could you please explain better long and short tail keywords, please? So an example of a short tail keyword would be, say, bottle. And because that is a broad category that could mean a lot of things, but a example of a long tail keyword would be a 600 ml water bottle with that's insulated or something like that. So it's just got a lot of words stacked together, which means a lot less products are going to rank for that exact keyword and going to fit that criteria. So it's being really, really specific. And the thing with long tail keywords is a lot of people don't think of that seller that we saw in beverage dispenser hadn't thought of all the long tail keywords. He hadn't optimized his listing. So you have an opportunity to go and put those long tail keywords in your listing and start making sales, because it won't be as competitive as bottle just on its own. And then once you start ranking for all those long tail keywords, the chances of you ranking for the short tail keyword like bottle will jump up significantly. So
Yeah, good answer. Cool. So let's see here. Thomas asks, what does price $14.95 to $94.95 mean? That just probably means that the seller has a few different variations on that listing. And typically, size or the number of items will affect the variation price. So you might click into that listing and you'll see the person sells one 12-ounce unit, and that's the $14.95. But they also sell a 5-pack of, a slightly larger version of the product. And to purchase that, it's $94.95. So Amazon will just give you the range between the lowest price item and the highest price item. That's why you're seeing that.
Okay, Stephen asks, since it's less competitive in Australia, do you have guidelines on what you'd adjust the following to sales volume and reviews? We just, in Australia, it's just a lot smaller scale. So everything is still going to still follow the same trends as the US predominantly, but it's just going to be on a lot smaller scale. So we recommend targeting the US market because there is just so much more opportunity to actually make sales, create an income, and get out of your day job through Amazon in the US or Europe or somewhere like that. Australia just doesn't have the sales there yet, but as an offset of your USA business, start sending some inventory to Australia, see if you start making sales, and just get your roots planted there so you're starting to get reviews. And then once Australia picks up, you might have a product there that's actually turning over some really, really good income. But for now, I wouldn't focus all my attention on Australia. I would focus on finding a product that fits the USA market and then just adding a few bits of inventory to Australia just to test the waters for now.